जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय मिश्रपाद परमंस परिव्राजकाचार्योत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय मिश्रपाद परमंस परिव्राजकाचार्योत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की श्री श्री गौर निताय की जगत गुरु शील प्रभुपाद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 18, Text number 6. Sa tudyamano hari durukta tomaraihi sa tudyamano hari durukta tomarair sa tudyamano hari durukta tomarair Damshra Agra Gam Gam Upalakshya भीताम् दंश्राग्रगां गामुपलक्ष्य भीताम् दंश्राग्रगां गामुपलक्ष्य भीताम् तोदं मृषन् निरगाद् अम्बु मध्याद् तोदं मृषन् निरगादम्बु मध्याद् तोदं मृषन् निरगादम्बु मध्याद् ग्राह आहतः ग्राहाहतः स करेणुर् यथेभः ग्राहाहतः स करेणुर्यथेभः ग्राहाहतः स करेणुर्यथेभः स तुद्यमानो अरिदुरुक्ततोमरैर् दंशाग्रगां गामुपलक्ष्य भीताम् तोदं मृषन् निरगादम्बुमध्याद् ग्राहाहतः स करेणुर्यथेभः स तुद्यमानो अरिदुरुक्ततोमरैर् दंश्राग्रगां गामुपलक्ष्य भीताम् तोदं मृषन् निरगादम्बुमध्याद् ग्राहाहतः स करेणुर्यथेभः सः he तुद्यमानः being pained ari of the enemy durukta by the abusive words tomaraihi by the weapons damshra agra on the ends of his tusks gam situated gam the earth upalakshya seeing bhitam frightened todam the pain mrishan bearing niragat he came out ambu madhyat from the midst of the water graha by a crocodile ahataha attacked sakarenuhu along with a she elephant yatha as ibhaha an elephant. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain. But seeing that the earth on the ends of his tusks was frightened, he rose out of the water, just as an elephant emerges with its female companion when assailed by an alligator. Kindly repeat. Although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain. But seeing that the earth on the ends of his tusks was frightened, he rose out of the water, just as an elephant emerges with its female companion when assailed by an alligator. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Mayavadi philosopher cannot understand that the Lord has feelings. The Lord is satisfied if someone offers him a nice prayer. And similarly, if someone decries his existence or calls him by ill names, God is dissatisfied. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is decried by the Mayavadi philosophers who are almost demons. They say that God has no head, no form, no existence, and no legs, hands, or other bodily limbs. In other words, they say that he is dead or lame. All these misconceptions of the Supreme Lord are a source of dissatisfaction to him. He is never pleased with such atheistic descriptions. In this case, although the Lord felt sorrow from the piercing words of the demon, he delivered the earth for the satisfaction of the demigods who are ever his devotees. The conclusion is that God is as sentient as we are. He is satisfied by our prayers and dissatisfied by our harsh words against him. In order to give protection to his devotee, he is always ready to tolerate insulting words from the atheists. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminithi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mokam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Ari durukta tomaraihi. Ari means the enemy. Who is the enemy here? The enemy is Hiranyaksha, enemy of Varahadev. So Varahadev, when he heard Ari durukta tomaraihi, when he heard the weapons released by Hiranyaksha, who was his enemy, Ari, in the form of durukta. Durukta means abusive words. So what happened? Varahadev was tudyamanaha. He was pained. He was afflicted. He felt sad. He was saddened by the words of Hiranyaksha. So he abused Varahadev in various ways, calling him a jungle animal, calling him a coward, calling him powerless, weakling, and so many other ways he abused Varahadev. So by these words, Varahadev was tudyamanaha. He was very pained. But at the same time, he saw that Damshra Agra, at the tip of his tusks, he was carrying Gam, the earth. And that earth, Mother Earth, Gam, Bhitam Upalakshya, seeing that Mother Earth was afraid of Hiranyaksha and his aggressive posture and his abusive words, what did the Lord do? Varahadev did not stop to respond to Hiranyaksha. On the other hand, he neglected Hiranyaksha, and what did he do? He Niragad Ambu Madhyat, from the middle of the Karana ocean where Hiranyaksha had hidden Mother Earth, he chose to neglect Hiranyaksha and taking Mother Earth on the tips of his tusks, Varahadev rose out of the waters. And how did he rise out of the water? His rising, Varahadev's rising out of the water with Mother Earth on his tusks was very majestic to behold. So the example is given, yatha sakarenuhu ibaha graha ahataha. So just like when a crocodile attacks an elephant in a water body, when the elephant has gone there to drink the water or to take bath, what will the elephant do? He will rise out of the water with its companions. Normally the elephant is not alone. The elephant comes with his whole horde of female companions. So with the female companions, just as an elephant rises out of the water, if you have seen anywhere on Discovery or National Geographic or some channel like that, you will see when an elephant with its companions rises out of the water, it looks quite majestic. So in a similar way, Varahadev with Mother Earth on his tusks rose out of the water in a very majestic manner. So he did that in order to allay the fears of Mother Earth, that again Hiranyaksha will capture her and put her back again in the depths of the waters. So to allay her fears, Varahadev very gently he rose out of the waters along with Mother Earth. The interesting thing here is how Varahadev responded to Hiranyaksha's lance-like words. He was attacking Varahadev with his words. So how Varahadev responded to what was Varahadev's response or his feelings when Hiranyaksha uttered those abusive words. It is said here Varahadev was tudyamanaha. He was very much afflicted. He was very much pained. That why is Hiranyaksha using such abusive words? Just like we all, if we are walking on the street and somebody catches us and starts abusing us for no fault of ours. Okay, if we did some mistake and somebody abused, chalta hai, we understand. But no mistake, somebody catches us and starts abusing, we'll feel very pained. So in the Bhagavad, immediately what we do, we remember Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. One should be equal in both distress and in happiness, in praise and in criticism. Okay, somebody is telling something, chodo, leave it. But here Varahadev himself is not following his instructions. He is feeling very saddened, pained by the words of Hiranyaksha. So we have to understand that Krishna is not a feelingless entity as the Mayavadis would want to present the Supreme Absolute Truth as. The Mayavadis, they negate, they do not accept, they reject all kinds of attributes of the Supreme Absolute Truth. There they say Brahman is Nirakara and Nirguna. The Brahman is without form and without any attributes, without any qualities. That is their philosophy. That is their belief. So the point that comes up is that if the Absolute Truth is without any qualities and without any feelings, then emotions and feelings which are felt by us, what about them? So the Mayavadis say that whatever emotions and feelings that we possess, they are all illusion. But even in the illusion, something called feelings and emotions exists. Now if the feelings and emotions exist in us, even if taking the Mayavadi argument that it is an illusion, then those feelings and emotions, if they are absent in the Absolute Truth, then something is less in the Absolute Truth, something is missing. That means the Absolute Truth is not complete. There exists something, at least even in illusion, there exists something called emotions and feelings. That means the absolute truth does not have something which illusion possesses. In other words, illusion is more complete than the absolute truth. So, that is actually, that is not the reality. Reality is the absolute truth in his personal form possesses qualities, he possesses emotions and feelings also. As it is mentioned here, Varahadev's feeling pain upon being attacked with harsh words is not like the ordinary living entities' feelings of pain when he is criticized. When we are criticized by someone or we are insulted by someone, our feeling of pain is on the platform of false ego. Oh, my false ego, he has hurt my false ego. Actually, whomever that person is abusing, that is not me, that is my body. He is seeing my body and abusing me. And hence, if I feel afflicted by that, I am only increasing my bodily concept of life. Whereas the Lord, he has a feeling of I and he has a feeling of mine. The Lord's feeling of I and mine is absolute because that is the true position of Krishna. He feeling I and mine is actually the reality. It is a fact. Whereas we feeling I and mine, aham mameti, is actually illusion. Because whatever I consider as I and whatever I consider as mine is all related to this temporary body which will cease to exist after a few days. Whereas whatever the Lord says is I and whatever Krishna says is mine is eternally his. That's not going to change. And that Supreme Lord Krishna, when he experiences certain emotions, they are all reality because it is on the platform of his true identity. So Krishna is not some dead piece of matter or stone that he will remain always without any emotions. Krishna possesses many wonderful emotions. One such feeling that Krishna possesses is of compassion. In the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 3rd canto, when Vidura approached Uddhava, Uddhava was near Haridwar and Vidura was going on pilgrimage, having been insulted by Duryodhana, when Vidura advised Dhritarashtra that if you continue to listen to Duryodhana's words, then you are going to bring about the downfall of this whole dynasty. This was Vidura's advice to Dhritarashtra. And Vidura was a very honest, straightforward person. He did not mince any words in front of anyone. He was not afraid of anyone. So in front of Duryodhana itself, he told this to Dhritarashtra. So Duryodhana, when he heard this, he got very angry. And he said, you are eating our food and you are talking against me. You are talking on behalf of the enemy. This, that, so many things he spoke. So Vidura took the opportunity, good riddance. I got an excuse. He left the kingdom and he walked out. He said, I am renouncing everything, and he walked off. Because he did not want to continue there also. Vidura was just waiting for an opportunity. He took that excuse and walked off. So he went on pilgrimage from place to place and finally he arrived at Haridwar where Uddhava was present. And he approached Uddhava and he asked Uddhava, please tell me about Lord Krishna and his activities. So when asked about Lord Krishna and his activities, Uddhava for a second he remained silent because all the qualities, wonderful qualities of Lord Krishna came rushing to his mind. And for a moment he could not speak. And then he slowly started speaking. And then one of the things what he described about Krishna, he remembered how Krishna as a small child, Krishna's pastime with Putana. We all know how Putana, on the orders of Kamsa, came to Vrindavan, came to Gokul rather, to kill Krishna. So how did she come? She came in the form of a very beautiful young woman and approached Yashoda Mai saying that, oh yeah, I heard you have you have got a newborn baby, so I just came to, see your child, and I want to nurse him with my milk. And that is how she came, and she lifted Krishna on her lap, and she started feeding her milk to him. But then what had she done? She had actually smeared a deadly poison on her breasts with the intention that when Krishna will suck her nipple, at that time that poison will go into his mouth and he will be killed. This was whole Putana's intention. But then what happened? Shri Krishna Balarama ki. Krishna sucked her milk, and at the same time he sucked her prana, her life breath also out of her body, and she was killed. So remembering this incident, the matter actually did not end there. So remembering this incident, Uddhava said, Aho Baki. So he was referring to Putana as Baki, because Baka was another asura who later came in the form of a bird to kill Krishna. Putana was the younger sister of Baka, and therefore her another name was Baki. Putana's another name was Baki. So he said, Uddhava said, Aho Baki, oh this Putana, she came and she offered her breast to Lord Krishna. Jigamsayanto apayayat. She fed her milk to Krishna. Jigamsanto, thinking that her intention was to kill Krishna. So, although she appeared like a very motherly woman trying to kill Krishna, trying to feed Krishna, api asadvi, she was actually a very wicked, cruel woman. So what happened? Aho Baki stanakala kutam jigamsapayad. So she came with an intention to kill Krishna, api asadvi. Such a cruel, wicked woman she was. Because earlier also she was used to killing small children. So can you imagine small babies, somebody has a fetish to kill small young kids, young infants. So how much cruel and wicked that person must be. So she was an asadvi, but she came as if apayed. She came as if she wanted to feed her milk to Krishna in a motherly manner. So what did Krishna do? Krishna, he killed her, and while killing her, what did he do? After killing her, what did he do? Lebhire dhatri gatim. Lebhire gatim dhatri uchitam. She obtained the position of dhatri to Krishna. She obtained the position of a nurse of Krishna in Goloka as an assistant to Yashodamai. So, Uddhava, remembering this incident, that despite Putana coming to Krishna with an intention to kill him, she had no motherly loving affection towards Krishna. Her only intention was to kill Jigamsayato. She just wanted to kill Krishna. And asadvi, she was totally a wicked woman. But what did Krishna do? He gave her lebhire gatim dhatri uchitam. He gave her the position of a nurse in Goloka Vrindavan. Tato anyam kam dayalum sharanam vrajema. Uddhava says that Krishna is such a dayalu that which other person sharanam vrajema can I take shelter of, who can be as merciful, as compassionate as such a great personality that Krishna is. That even to a person who came to kill Krishna, he gave her the position of his nurse, of almost the position of his mother in the spiritual world. So Krishna feels compassion towards other living entities. Krishna, even though Putana came with an intention to kill Krishna, Krishna saw, after all, she fed me her milk. Even though she came with an intention to kill me, still she fed me her milk, so I will give her the position of a nurse in the spiritual world. So you see how Krishna is so compassionate. Any normal person within this material world, if somebody comes to kill him, he will never show him any compassion. The first opportunity he gets, he will kill him and finish him off, that's all. But Krishna is so compassionate, he is thinking, beyond what she tried to kill me, he is thinking, she fed me her milk, so she is as good as my mother. So Krishna feels compassion. Actually, Krishna's compassion is very strongly expressed in this material world. The whole Bhagavad Gita, if you see, everywhere you can see, every verse you can see Krishna's compassion and Krishna's love. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Aham bija pradaha pita sarva yonishu kaunteya. So Krishna is actually saying, Kaunteya, I am the father of all the living entities. All the living entities who are there in this world are my children. Krishna is saying with so much love and affection. And Krishna, when Krishna is saying, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja aham swam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Krishna is saying, you give up everything else and surrender to me. I will take care of you. Don't worry. All your past, whatever you have done, you have gone against me, you have done so many offenses, so many sinful activities, you have worked against me. Forget all those things. I'll forget, I'll forgive. I'll take care of you. Please, please come and surrender unto me. See Krishna's compassion. Krishna is saying, just come and say, I surrender to you. I'll forget all the past. I will completely erase all the past. Whatever you have done, everything you have done, I will erase. Imagine, can the government say something like that? Criminal, if he comes to the court and says, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I did this, I'm surrendering to the court, then immediately court will say, okay, if that is the case, I'll forgive everything, forget everything. No punishment for you. You are free. You can go back. Will the government ever say? No. The moment you confess, they'll say, confession mil gaya na, dala usko. Put the biggest this one on him. Because that's the nature of this material world. But Krishna is so loving, so compassionate. A person just says, Krishna, some, durbuddhi, I went against you, I'm sorry, whatever I did, please forgive me. Krishna will say, okay, you have said sorry, no, bhul gaye, everything forgotten. Everything forgotten. I will forgive you for everything that you have done in the past. I'll forget everything. New chapter, I'll take you back to Godhead. This is Krishna's compassion. Not only compassion, Krishna also feels gratitude. Krishna, what is the position of Krishna? Krishna is Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suradam Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna is, he is the Bhokta, he is the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. Whatever yajna, whatever sacrifice we do, ultimately the sacrifice is meant to please Krishna. He is Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, he is the Lord of all the universes. Everything belongs to him, everything is supposed to be given to him. That is his right, that is his position. Everything has to be submitted to him. There is no question of something belonging to me which I am sacrificing and renouncing and giving it to Krishna. Actually, we cannot renounce anything because nothing belongs to us. Like Srila Prabhupada gave the example that if I go outside the Reserve Bank of India, stand outside and tell, Reserve Bank has so many crores of rupees, I am renouncing all the money that is there in the Reserve Bank of India. What will happen? One of two things will happen. Either all the people will catch you and put you in the mental hospital, something is wrong with you, or they will put you in jail, this fellow is trying to do something with Reserve Banks, 100% he is doing some, he's plotting something to loot the money in the Reserve Bank. So why? Because that money never belonged to you in the first place. Where is the question of renouncing the money in the Reserve Bank? Similarly, everything in this universe, actually the whole universe itself belongs to Krishna. Where is the question of renouncing or giving to something to Krishna? But yet, when a devotee surrenders something to Krishna, sacrifices something for Krishna, Krishna feels obliged. Krishna feels grateful. If something belongs to me, suppose I kept my mobile here, and you come and pick up the mobile and say, very nice mobile, and you start using it. Nicely you're using, I'm also watching, what is this guy doing? Taking my mobile and using, I'm waiting. After half an hour you come and tell me, very nice mobile I got, you see, very nice, good, it's working very nicely, latest model and all that. Anyway, I saw you, so I felt a little compassion. So I'm taking you, I'm giving you my mobile, you take, you enjoy. So will I feel gratitude? I'll say, Arey wah, My mobile you have taken and then you are giving it back to me as if you have done some big thing. Okay, anyway, at least you gave it back to me. That much I will take and I will go. I will not feel any gratitude. Whereas Krishna, when we sacrifice something to Krishna, when we sacrifice something for Krishna, which actually did never belong to us, Krishna feels gratitude. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, when the gopis, when they came, when Krishna played the flute in the middle of the night in Vamsivata, all the gopis came running to Krishna. And then we all know how the rasa dance happened. And in the middle of that, this one, Krishna left the rasa dance and went. And then the gopis went mad, searching after Krishna everywhere. And finally, because of their intense feelings of separation, Krishna came back to them. When Krishna came back to them, he told them one thing. Krishna told the gopis, Na pareyeham niravadya samyujam. That Krishna said, you are all niravadya samyujam. You are all spotless. Your character is spotless. You are completely selfless personalities. And swasadu krityam vibudayishapi vaha. Na pareyeham. I will never be able to repay the service that you have rendered to me. Vibudayishapi vaha. Even with the lifetime of the devatas. Even for the lifetime of the devatas, if I keep repaying you, I will still not be able to completely repay the service that you have done. What is that service that they have done which has pleased Krishna so much? Krishna says, because Yama Abhajan, you rendered devotional service to me. What kind of devotional service did you render to me? That Durjaya Geha Shrinkalaha Samvritsya. Samvritsya Durjaya Geha Shrinkalaha. Geha means house. So our Geha Shrinkalaha, our attachment to the house is actually like a chain which is binding us to our family life. So for a person to give up his family, to give up his home, to give up his relatives, it's very, very tough. It's practically impossible. Every person is so attached to his family, especially to his wife, to her husband, to the children. These are very strong familial bonds. And what did the gopis do? They durjaya geha shrinkalaha samristya yama abhajan. The gopis in the middle of the night when Krishna blew the flute, they all gave up their families and their brothers, their fathers, their husbands, their children. Everyone was stopping them. Where are you going in the middle of the night? Stop, stop, stop. They did not listen to anyone. They said, nothing doing, Krishna is calling us, we have to go, and they left everything and went. So Krishna says, that kind of devotional service you have rendered to me, without any consideration for your family members, that has obliged me so much, I can never repay you, even with the lifetime of the devatas. And further Krishna says, Pratyatu swasaduna, you please be satisfied with your service itself. I cannot repay you. It is not possible for me to repay you. So Krishna is feeling indebted to the gopis for the wonderful devotional service that they have rendered. This is Krishna's feelings. There is actually no need for Krishna to feel like that, because the gopis are his own part and parcel. They are his. They don't belong to those family members. Their family members are wrongly thinking that they are mine. This is my wife, this is my daughter. No, they are all Krishna's gopis. They are all Krishna's part and parcel. So if they have given up something which is not theirs and come to Krishna, there is a question of any gratitude to be felt on the part of Krishna. But still Krishna is such a wonderful person. He is feeling gratitude towards the gopis for having given up their family affection and come to Krishna. So when we also as devotees, we give up our families and come and surrender completely ourselves to Krishna, Krishna feels gratitude. Although we all know our family is all, our family ties are related to this body. And in this life, I'm having this body, and based on this body, I'm having so many attachments to various family members. But at the end of this lifetime, I'll give up this body and take another body. At that time, I'll get to attach to another set of people, thinking that they are my family members. At that time, I will forget whatever family members I have in this lifetime. Finished. That is over. So, a lifetime after lifetime, we are changing our family members. So, these are all temporary things. So in one lifetime, this lifetime itself, before death comes and separates us from our family members, if within this lifetime also itself we separate from our family members for Krishna, we have not done anything big. But then Krishna still feels gratitude. This is Krishna's quality. When a devotee remembers such wonderful qualities of Krishna, he cannot help but become attracted so much by Krishna, he cannot for a moment give up the remembrance of that wonderful person, Krishna. That's why Yamunacharya also says, Sanatha Jivitam Praharshayishyami. When will I become ebullient? When will I exult, knowing that Krishna, that wonderful person with such super excellent qualities, he is my Lord, he is my Natha. A devotee always experiences extreme bliss when he knows that my Lord is that Krishna who has such wonderful qualities that even a wicked woman comes and feeds him her milk with the intention to kill him. Krishna is so compassionate, he will give her also the position of his nurse. He is the owner of everything, and still he feels gratitude when somebody gives back something which rightfully belongs to him. These are all the wonderful qualities of Krishna. Like this, Krishna has innumerable qualities. Krishna has unlimited qualities. And every quality of Krishna is so wonderful that when a devotee remembers each quality, he cannot help being overwhelmed by the qualities of Krishna. That is why Krishna is so attractive. And that is why Krishna's name is Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. He attracts everyone with his wonderful qualities, which are unparalleled. Nobody possesses the kind of qualities that Krishna possesses. Krishna's, therefore, Varahadeva's feelings of pain when Hiranyaksha is attacking him with harsh words is not at all surprising. Actually, this is also a Leela of Varahadeva. And we have to understand, actually, that is why you will see a pure devotee like Prabhupada who is seeped in the love of Krishna. Whenever he speaks of Mayavadi philosophers, he becomes like fire. You would have seen Prabhupada becomes like fire. Every time, left, right and center, everywhere Prabhupada criticizes Mayavadis like anything. Why? Because the Mayavadis' words, their philosophy, which denies the personality of Krishna, is actually very painful to Krishna. And therefore, a devotee like Prabhupada, whenever he hears Mayavada philosophy, he cannot tolerate. How can somebody pain Krishna like this? How can somebody cause pain to Krishna like this? And so you can see, because of that intense love for Krishna, that is why Prabhupada becomes very critical of the Mayavadi philosophy. Which is also because of Prabhupada's compassion, because he wants to save those Mayavadis from offending Krishna repeatedly by their foolish philosophy, saying that Krishna has no hands, no attributes, he is nirguna, he has no personality, he has no rupa. On the other hand, Krishna has such wonderful rupa, he has such wonderful qualities, he has such wonderful gunas, that when a person hears about them, he will simply get carried away by the flood of emotions. Therefore, the devotees never wish to hear Mayavada philosophy. They are very critical of the Mayavada philosophy, and they don't lend any ear to Mayavadi philosophers. We don't respect the Mayavadi philosophers also, and we don't associate with them in any manner. Why? Because their philosophy is causes great pain to Krishna. Therefore, we keep away from them. And Prabhupada, as Prabhupada is given mentioning in the purport, the Mayavada philosophers are also almost as good as Hiranyaksha, demons like Hiranyaksha who hurl abuses at the Supreme Lord without any consideration. So the Hiranyaksha, demons like Hiranyaksha may may use very abusive words to criticize Krishna. They may call him all sorts of abusive words. You are a fool, you are a rascal, you are a jungle animal, you are a weakling, all such kind of crazy things they may say. The Mayavadis in a very polished way say the same thing. You don't have eyes, you don't have hands, you don't have legs, you don't have any guna. In other words, what are they saying? You are blind, you are lame, you are a dead stone, you are good for nothing. They are also saying the same thing. So they are almost as good as the demons only they are using a little refined language, and they are using their intelligence, they are twisting the words of the Vedas and presenting their philosophy. But in effect, it's practically the same. And hence a devotee is never attracted, nor does he want to associate with the Mayavadi philosophers, and always we should keep away from the Mayavadi philosophers, because that philosophy brings a lot of pain to Krishna. These are some of the points which we can understand from this verse. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. Raghav sir.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Generally we say Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado Yasya Prasadan Nagoti Kutopi.
Yes.
Like without mercy of the pure devotee, we cannot get the mercy of Krishna.
Yes.
So just I am wondering how Putana, with the spirit of coming, killing to Krishna, she came, but she got the highest mercy of Krishna. So what is her background, Prabhu?
Background is that she got the mercy of Yashoda Maya. She approached Yashoda Maya. Yashoda Maya only gave her the service. Okay, go and feed my child Krishna. So if Yashoda Maya had not shown her the kripa, she would not have got. So the point is that generally, for a conditioned soul to become liberated, he has to get the mercy of a pure devotee. Only then he can attain the mercy of Krishna. But then Krishna is not bound by that. Krishna is his own master. He can choose without directly to give his kripa to someone also. And that is why Krishna personally came to give his kripa, no? So directly he gave his kripa to few personalities. He gave his kripa to Kamsa, he gave his kripa to Bakasura, he gave his kripa to Baki. All these personalities, he chose that, okay, directly I'll give my kripa to these people. So, but then of course we cannot think that I will directly get the kripa of Krishna like them. Those are very special, very extraordinary cases where Krishna directly gave his kripa. We cannot expect that we will get that kind of kripa. We have to depend on the kripa of a pure devotee like Prabhupada. That's for the general class of people. That's how we have to understand.
Thank you.
Any other question or comment? So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.